Thank you guys for tuning in to Coaches for Freedom podcast. Dre Taylor is an entrepreneur. He's the founder and executive director of the Nile Valley Aquaponics in Kansas City. He has his own mentorship program based in Missouri where he's helping young males become men, and it's called Males to Men. He also is a grant writer and a farmer, and he has so much going on, and hopefully you guys tune in and learn something valuable from this podcast today. And thank you guys for listening.
Welcome to Extremely Opinionated. I'm your host, Dr. Travis, and
Tiffany from Small Business Saturdays.
We hope that you can find something that you can utilize in your everyday life from our business owners who are thriving and successful today.
Hopefully we can apply their life experience, expertise, and overall information that they have to share with us in our lives to improve it for the better. Thanks for listening. Thanks, Dre, for being here today with our podcast for Coaches for Freedom. We are very happy and excited to have you. And I just want to start the conversation talking about entrepreneurship and just you telling us how you got into it.
Thanks for having me first off. I'm glad to be here. I started entrepreneurship. I always had little side hustles here and there growing up, whether it was cutting grass or shoveling snow. And so when I was a barber, I did a lot of different things. But I just got tired of going to work every day, 9 to 5, saying how many breaks I can get, going to lunch. Just the time I was spending just driving to work back and forth and adding it all up. And I was like, you know what? I can't do this no more. This isn't what life is all about. I love my freedom. I love to be able to control my own destiny. I don't like having my head at the ceiling, so I like taking those kind of risks. And so that's pretty much where I pretty much started with entrepreneurship, maybe 10 years ago or so, 10 to 12 years ago. So I haven't worked for nobody in about 10 to 12 years. And so I just love my freedom to do what I want to do, when I want to do it, and don't really have an alarm clock to wake up to do those type of things that's required of me. So that's pretty much where I started my entrepreneurship, probably around 10 to 12 years ago.
I love that. And just you saying you started about 12 years ago, that's like over a decade. So you've been at this a really long time. I wanted to know if you got into entrepreneurship online or if you started it back home in Kansas City. And just I want to start there. Like, did you start in person or online?
I started in person, somewhat online. I was doing a lot of different things. I was doing events. I started my mentoring program. And so we was doing, whatever it took that was legal to pay the bills, you know what I mean? And so that was pretty much, my start of my entrepreneurship. I just jumped ship one day. I was like, you know what, I can't do this, And so I jumped ship and had to figure it out. And it ain't always been easy. It's a constant, give and take relationship. Sometimes things are great. Sometimes things aren't as great. So you just have to figure those things out. But if you're a hustler and you can make it happen and you can believe in yourself, then there's always ways to make money out here. So I always knew that. I always was a hard worker. And so that's pretty much, how I keep it going.
Did you ever get to a point or a place where you're like, this is just not going to work. I'm just going to have to go back to the 9 to 5 life because it's just not happening?
Never.
Never.
I would never go back. I would figure something out. I feel I've gained enough knowledge where I can always do something where I don't never have to go back. Information without application is pointless. So I put a lot of work towards educating myself, investing in myself. And so even with travel, I believe in learning from the best. And so I think a question you have down the line is do I believe in degrees? And I won't get to that yet, but I've learned, I travel to see the best doing it. So I don't mind investing and going and learn from whoever's doing something and investing my time and energy to those who's doing it great. And so I would travel. I went as far as China to to learn, how to do certain things. I went to Milwaukee to learn from my mentor, who was one of Time Magazine's 100 most influential people in the world, who did Michelle Obama's garden at the White House. And so we on, like first name basis. He'll call me up, I call him up, and so I've learned from him. And so I'm not afraid to go learn and talk to these people to figure out what's making them successful. What do I need to do to be successful? You have to invest in yourself, if you want to be successful, and so, one of those things where you got to remove yourself from your circle sometime because they're not doing the same thing you're doing. So it's hard to talk to somebody about doing something who's never done it before, and so, a lot of times, especially in our community, they'll shoot your dream down before you get a chance to take off because they have no idea about it. So that support system that, that's another question I think you have about family and friends supporting. Most of my support come from people I don't know or outsiders. You know what I mean? It's crazy that happens, but that's sometimes is how it happens because people are comfortable with who you are and who they are, and they don't support you as you think they should. But you have to be okay with that. That should be driving motivation to say, you know what, I'm gonna do it regardless. I'll show you. And so you hold that in your treasure chest and be like, I'm gonna get it without your support, and I'm gonna figure it out, my way. So. I'm going off on a tangent, and sometimes I get past your question that you asked. I forget that you asked, and hopefully I answered it.
No, you did, and that was all great and very true. Especially with me, just writing a book, and my family, not everyone, but the majority of them, they were not even interested. You know what I mean? So I could relate to that, but I feel like if it was the same information coming from somebody they didn't know, then they would jump to get it. You know what I mean? So it's funny. It's funny like that. It makes me think of like when people said the Jesus story, how nobody believed Jesus was Jesus where he came from. But when he went out, everybody else was like, oh, that's Jesus. It made me think of that story because I'm like, yeah, your family sometimes and friends, they just may not believe in you until maybe later when they see you later down the line and they see everybody else jumped on board, then maybe they'll come back around. But I found that to be very true. Just personally, I wanted to really talk about like advice you could give people who want to leave their 9 to 5. Like, what's the very first step you think they should do?
Put it on paper. Put a plan together. Create a timeline. Things you need to do. Long-term, short-term plans. Goals you can hit. Everybody have 24 hours a day, the same 24 hours a day. There's really no excuse, for you not being able to research and get the information you need to start whatever you need to start. You go to work from 8 to 4, you have that time from 6 to 8, to prepare. If it's 30 minutes a day, you do 30 minutes a day, what is that? About 3.5 hours a week. You have Saturday and Sunday. There's no reason why you can't put energy towards whatever craft you're trying to do. Invest in yourself. Whatever it is, take time. Reach out to people. If you see somebody successful, reach out to them. Say, hey, what are you doing? I want to learn. Can you mentor me? X, Y, and Z. If somebody have webinars or classes, attend those classes. Pay for it. Learn. Read some books. Order some books. Get on Amazon. Pay $20 and buy some books and figure it out and read it. It's a lot of books on a lot of different subjects. It's a lot of stuff on YouTube that people can go to that's giving a lot of free game. And, you just compile all this information and you figure out what it is you want to do. And once you get to that point, then you start making that transition. You start, talking to people, getting things going. When I first started my nonprofit, first started my aquaponics, I probably collected maybe 2,000 business cards in a year. And so I was going to meeting after meeting, talking to people, had my 30-second sales pitch, my elevator pitch. Hey, my name is Dre Taylor. I'm starting a Nile Valley 100,000-pound food project on 29th and Wabash in Kansas City. We'll be doing 100,000 pounds of food, 50,000 pounds of fish, 50,000 pounds of vegetables, providing jobs in the community, and such and such. And so I said that pitch over and over and over again, where it was like I knew like the back of my hand. And so that's what I had to do. I'm not a person where I'm a real social person, but when the lights cut on, I get on and get in that mode to do what I need to do to make things happen. And so that's pretty much how I got started with my aquaponics program while getting funding. And so just you got to start somewhere. You got to start. That's the problem. You got to start. Remove yourself from those circles. Network. Educate yourself and put it on paper with a timeline. So say I want to quit my job in a year. All right. Well, these are the things you need to do. Figure out how much you need to make to cover your bills, in that time frame, before you jump ship. And it's a lot of things you can do, but definitely put it on paper and start somewhere.
Yeah. I love that, and yeah, I do write my goals out like that exactly. So that's perfect. Can you just talk a little bit more about your nonprofit, what it is, and how you came up with that name?
My nonprofit is Nile Valley Aquaponics in Kansas City, Missouri. Came up with the name Nile Valley because that was the first place they started cultivating fish and vegetables over thousands of years ago. And so people always talk about tilapia. It's a man-made fish, X, Y, and Z. But if you look on the walls of the pyramids, you can see the fish, tilapia, on the walls of the pyramid. They've been cultivating fish and vegetables that long. So that's how I came up with the name Nile Valley Aquaponics, because it's a community garden where, I raised over, 50,000 fish and grew vegetables using the fish waste to supply nutrients to my vegetables. So I was trying to bring healthy food inside the community, which was, I don't want to say food desert because I hate using the word food desert because everybody have access to water. So if you have access to water, you have access to grow food. So I just hate using the term food desert. You just have to grow some damn food. Don't get me on that tangent, but that's how I came up with the name Nile Valley Aquaponics.
No, that's dope, and I love it. And I just want to know, how people can find that nonprofit exactly.
NileValleyAquaponics.com, Facebook Nile Valley Aquaponics. I've been doing it for about 5 years now. The conception probably 6 years, and I've been farming probably maybe close to 10 years.
Wow, that's impressive. And even me, I tried to definitely grow some things myself, but it was difficult. I needed some guidance. So I know that you have a mentor program. Can you just talk about what that program is? And I believe it's called Males to Men. And just talk about what you guys do.
We have a mentoring program called Males to Men. Our mission is to raise strong, conscious, productive young men and reestablish accountable and productive leadership in the community. And so I pretty much started on mentoring program. I started mentoring probably around 2008, 2007 when Barack Obama was running. So I went to go see him when he came to Kansas City. He said, "Be the change you want to see." And so from then on, I started with Big Brothers, Big Sisters. When I was doing Big Brothers, Big Sisters, I noticed that when I was having my what they call the mentees, we would go to these events. And so at these events, it would be, half the kids would probably be Black kids, but about 5% of the mentors or the bigs would be Black people. So we would only make up 5% of the mentors that was mentoring these kids, but half the kids was Black, and I couldn't figure out where we were at. I'm like, when I go out to the club or, wherever I was going, any kind of events or anything, sporting, there we are, we having fun, we kicking it. But when it came to the priorities of our kids, we wasn't there. So I worked with other mentoring programs up until about 2012, 13. That's when I started Males to Men because I figured I can have a bigger impact by having my own mentoring program. And so we mentor kids ages from, we used to do 7 to 17 or 7 to 17. We moved it up to 9 to 17. Probably mentor maybe 150 so kids plus. In those 7-8 years we've been mentoring, we've partnered with universities like Lincoln University, so Black HBCU. We've partnered with like the Black Pilot Association. So we put our kids in private planes owned by Black pilots and flew them all over Kansas City. We send kids to Oshkosh, Wisconsin, to actually learn how to fly planes. We give them $100 for every 3.0 grade point average every quarter for the main subjects of math, science, English, and history. We really just teach them what it means to be a man. So if a man wasn't at home, we teach them those things that a man would teach his son, you know, from changing tires, checking fluids on cars, how to patch a house, a hole in a house, plumbing, basic plumbing, just history, who they are, where they come from, geography. We're working on getting the boys' passports to take them to Ghana next year. We're going to go earlier, but you know the whole COVID thing pretty much shut everything down. So we'll get them to Ghana next year. Understand where they come from. Understand that we are one people. We're not different than anybody over there. They do the same thing over there they do here, and so that's pretty much what we do with our boys in our mentoring program.
Oh wow, that's really amazing. I commend you for that. I really do, because we definitely need more of those systems in place for our young males, especially young Black males. So if I had a son that was 9 years old in Kansas City who wanted to be a part of your mentorship, what would I need to do?
Just reach out to us. We're actually off until the first of the year because of the COVID situation. So we have some older mentors that's like, you know, in their 60s. So we didn't want to jeopardize their health or bringing the boys around, you know, and so we're going to start the first of the year. So males to men on our Facebook page, they can contact us through there, and we'll start back around the first of the year.
Gotcha. Thank you for that. I'm going to definitely post this up here. And I wanted to ask you, what's the biggest challenge that you have right now? I know we do have COVID going on, but it seems like you're still pushing through and getting a lot of stuff done. So are there any challenges that you are facing even at this time?
Not so for me. When the first of the year, well, from December, about 3 weeks from December to part of January, I went to Ghana. And I pretty much, when I got back, before the COVID thing hit, you know, I was like, I'm shutting everything down. I'm gonna take a break for a year because I'm actually trying to make that transition to Ghana in maybe like 2 years. And so I needed to figure out some time to make that transition, to put things in place so when I do leave, things can continue to run and operate. And so in the meantime, I just been doing a lot more online webinars and things of such, teaching people how to build business credit, how to get grant funding, things of how to travel, you know, on a budget, things of that nature. So transferring a lot more things online and trying to get away from the day-to-day stuff on operations. So when I make that move to Ghana, it'll be a lot easier when that time comes.
I love that. And you're going to Ghana alone, or are you bringing family and friends, a team with you, or you're just gonna?
Yeah, I'm going the first round. I'm gonna go alone because I'm looking for land there. So I'll be going different places looking for land, and then maybe in like 8 months, I might host a group or two to come out there and just show them, you know, a taste of the culture. They can go visit the slave castles, eat the food, you know, get some custom clothes made, like the kente cloth, see where they make like shea butter, cocoa butter, you know, go to the beach, you know, and just experience, you know, what I had a chance to experience on, you know, being home. You know, when I touched the soil, they made me feel like at home. I felt more home there than I did here. And so, you know, I just want other people to be able to experience that when they go there. So that's what I'll be trying to do, hopefully the next 8 months by getting a group there.
I love that. And let me know, because I'll definitely be a part of that first group, okay?
I will. You'll be the first to know.
Yeah, I've been trying to get out there for a while, so I'm down. So I just wanted to also talk about advice, because there are a lot of people out here giving advice, but they're giving advice for things they've never done and advice for things they can't really help people with. So what is the best advice you ever received?
Better to give than receive.
Oh, yes.
The more you give, the more you receive. It's not always monetary, you know. It's a lot of people who are information hoarders, you know, who hoard information once they receive it, you know. And so I'm a giver by nature, and that's how my family was. They've been givers. So It's nothing, for me to give. Sometimes I think I give too much, you know what I mean? But I don't even know if that's a such thing, but uh, it always comes back,
Yeah.
in terms of support, people believing in you when you start something, it's never a shortfall. I never complain about anything because, I'm living, I'm breathing, I'm walking, I'm talking. I have no complaints about anything because, I'm able to make a way for myself, so it's always better than getting received. It's probably been the best advice that I've received.
Mm. Yeah, that's really good. I probably would agree with that too. That's probably my top advice too, actually.
Yeah,
And
because you can't always have your hand out. You know what I mean? And you just never know what's gonna happen. And a lot of things that happen to me because I've been given. I might get a check, from nowhere, anonymous check for like 10 grand because they seen something I've done. Or I might get attention because I'm doing this over here. And I'm not doing it for notoriety. Usually if I'm in a crowd or in a room, I'm in the back somewhere in the cut. I'm not out on the front talking, anything like that. I'm very quiet, very observant. So, and very humble when it comes to a lot of things that I do. But, good things come, they say good things come for those who wait, but things come faster from those who hustle, so, if you hustle, then things will come a lot faster than just waiting on for it to happen. So that's another piece of advice that I guess that I can think of and somebody told me that I try to live by.
that's golden right there. All facts, all facts. And I wanted to know when it comes to your businesses, do you usually get traffic more so by like word of mouth or do you market? And if you do market, what are the ways in which you like to market?
I'm different because I have a nonprofit, so a lot of my work is, use a lot of social media for what I do. And so I grab attention because I'm doing something different. Got goats, fish and vegetables. So that's different to have, especially being in the middle of the hood where I'm located at. So I'm like middle of a neighborhood. So you be driving down the street and be like, I know I just didn't see no goat. You know what I mean? So people are like, back up. But that is a damn goat. You know what I mean? It's 5 goats. So there might be 15 goats out there. So, doing something different, you know what I mean? that other people are doing has gained me a lot of traction and attention. And just seeing the smiles on, kids' faces when they see those type of things and learning something different, their minds are impressionable. And so I always like to work with kids more than I do with adults because sometimes adults are just done and through, you know what I mean? They got their bills to pay. And so my time is pretty much wasted with them, but I like to work more with kids, but like I said, because their mind is impressionable, they're willing to learn certain things. And so if you can teach them early, you can change the narrative on how things are going to be. And so just trying to train up a kid and change the narrative, that's where I see myself, the passion. And so with me being unique in that space where it's not a lot of us doing it, that pretty much gets me a lot of attention, in which I use to promote whatever I'm doing.
I love that. And when it comes to like the gardening and the farming, was this something you were always interested in? Like, did you learn it growing up or you just got into it later? Just that aspect.
I pretty much got into it later. I tell the story. I do like a presentation when I travel. I do presentation when I travel, and it's how to build a community through food. And so when I do the presentation, I always end with that, my great grandmother was a sharecropper from Jackson, Mississippi. And when she was a sharecropper, so she'd been farming since, she was before she was a teenager. And so she left Jackson, Mississippi, where she was farming at the age of 16 because of the racial climate in Jackson, Mississippi at the time. She moved from Jackson, Mississippi to St. Louis, from St. Louis to LA, and that's where she finally passed that. And so when I was getting everything going as far as farming, I was talking to her because she always grew food. And we was talking about her peach trees. She had chickens and all other kind of stuff she was growing. And I was like, hey, you gonna come out to my farm when I get it together? And she was like, I don't think I'm gonna make it. And I was like, what do you mean you're not going to make it? She was like, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. And it was crazy to me because she was 97 at the time. And the year before we was in Vegas, she was still going at 3 o'clock in the morning, gambling, kicking and everything. You know what I mean? So she lived full life. She was still driving. And so I knew something was wrong with her because she was still traveling and everything. So 3 months later, she passed. And so she lived her full life. She didn't mind telling you what was on her mind. She was still healthy. It just happened quickly. But 97 years on this earth is a long time to be here. So when she passed, we all went out to LA. We went to her house. I was able to eat like a tomato that was barely hanging on because she grew it. And when we went to the funeral, she said her neighbor said that we called her Farmer Brown because what she didn't eat, she gave to people in the community. And so when people always ask, where I get her from, it's like it's like a legacy that she left. I'm doing what she was doing, just on a larger scale, just feeding people. And so I don't think it was something as far as me wanting to farm, it's just my way to give to others, the same way she was giving, just on a larger scale. So I don't think it was necessarily me wanting to get into farming. It's a form of giving to other people.
I love that. That is really special because even myself, my grandmother now is about to turn 93, and I was born on her birthday. So,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so she calls me like her gift from God because, we got the same birthday, and it's like we always try to spend it together because, it's like I just love learning from her. She used to garden. She loves to cook, and she loves to bake. Because every time I try to bake, my cakes they don't look like her. She makes her cakes from scratch, and like every type of pie and cake you could think of, she will make from scratch. And I'm trying to learn, and I'm in there like fumbling around. And she's like, you need to write it down. Write down the measurements. And I'm like, okay, I got you, Grandma. I'm gonna write it down. But like, I think just from her generation, she struggled a lot in her life. She had kids early. She worked to the bone her entire life. So for her, she definitely wanted me to get an education. She wanted me to go to college. Like, she thought that would be like my way to have some type of independence, right? But, I think it's definitely different now. She actually also taught me how to drive because I would refuse to drive, but she's like, no, you need to learn for your independence. So she was all about being an independent woman and being strong and learning and doing things for herself. But I think a lot of the older generation, they have this ideology that you have to go to college to be successful, right? They think like that's what you got to do because a lot of them, they didn't have that option. So they want you to have what they never had. But my question for you is, did your family think like that? Do you think in that aspect that college is a necessity or not really?
It depends on what you're trying to go to college for, what you're trying to do. Certain professions where you have to go to college, like you want to be a doctor or engineer, those are professions that you need to go to college, but it's a lot of things you can do where you can make a lot of money by not going to college. If you're entrepreneurship, somebody's trying to teach you about being an entrepreneur, never been an entrepreneur before. The best teacher is experience. And so I went to college, played football, messed up my knee. Got in trouble in school, and had to go out of school, after I got in trouble. So I don't even think the 3 years that I went to school that I used anything. I can't remember anything I learned in school. Actually, as an athlete, they don't really teach you anything. They really just pass you through. And it's crazy because I had the best grades I ever had in school was in college. You know what I mean? I had a 3.0 in college and I couldn't even get to high school. It's crazy how, we try to push people to go to college to learn and get in debt real fast when we don't teach people about money management and, responsibilities, credit, things of that sort that really is going to make a difference. And those things should really be taught before you even get to college. And so we're just a lack of knowledge on a lot of parents' parts who probably never been to college and trying to push their kids for a better education. I mean, everybody's not going to be an entrepreneur, but I think everybody should have, some kind of skill set where if something happens, where you can always have something to fall back on. because you're just another number, another employee that, something happens, then you get the axe and you're gone and somebody else is going to replace you, so that's just the name of the game. And so people knew that, if you want to work, some people are comfortable working. I got most of the people in my family work, 9 to 5. They're not risk takers. I'm a risk taker. I'm going to try it out and I'm going to figure it out, and so it's not for them. You know what I mean? So entrepreneurship ain't for everybody. So, college works for some people, but you shouldn't force people to go there, especially if they don't know what they want to do, and force them into debt they're going to be paying for the rest of their life. So it just don't make no sense to me to put that burden on people when they don't know what it is they're going to want to do for the rest of their life.
That is so true. That's the gospel, because, I hear even the younger generation, or they're like, I'm gonna go to college. Well, what are you gonna learn, or what are you gonna study? I don't know. Well, you gotta have an idea what you want to do. And then I know, people change their majors, and then you just racking up debt, and then you don't get anything from it.
And then one of the most important things about when you go to college is the networking.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you go to college, are you really networking with these people who are, striving and really taking heed to whatever they're going to do, where, you can get things accomplished. It ain't all about what you know. There's a lot of it is who you know. You know what I mean? Trying to get to where you need to get to. And so if you're in college, you need to really be networking, and that needs to be taught the art of networking. You know what I mean? How do you leverage your network to get what you're trying to get? And so that's a missing skill set, or not a taught skill set to get where you need to get to, and so it's not about, just picking up the books and learning. It's about identifying those folks that's in college that's making some moves. You can kind of see them in college. You can see where they're at and see things they're able to do and accomplish. And you know what, he's going to do something, and try to figure out, how do you latch on and be able to network and keep a good, healthy relationship with those people.
Oh, 100%. 100%. And I love that, the art of networking. Is this a course that you're teaching or something? Because it sounds like something
I should. Let me write this down.
Yes, I got 5 people.
Want?
I got 5 people right now, I'm telling you, that will join this course. And then, you know what, I'll be number 6. But listen, that is golden right there. The art of networking. I want to go into medical marijuana, because I think you may participate in this arena, but I'm not 100% sure. So I wanted to know your take on medical marijuana.
Yeah, so in Missouri, it passed maybe 2 years ago. And so up to going to the medical marijuana, that's when I was saying invest in your business, invest in yourself. So I traveled to Canada to the largest aquaponic facility. I was back and forth from Denver. I would go to Oregon, California, all these different places where we're growing, just to build this network and learn about this industry, because African Americans make up less than 3% of this industry. So I wanted to get in there. So it had some restrictions in Missouri to pretty much keep, the economic restrictions to keep a lot of people of lower economic situations, especially people of color, from getting in there, these barriers. And so for a license, so if I wanted to grow, they wanted to make sure I had $150,000 in the bank to grow it with a $10,000 non-refundable fee. If I wanted to have a dispensary, they wanted $300,000 for my grow, $150,000 for dispensary. If I wanted to make manufactured products, they want a $6,000 non-refundable fee and $150,000 in the bank to show. And so these were a lot of restrictions where we just couldn't get in. We could probably come up with 10 grand, but we didn't have 10 grand to lose. You know what I mean? And so we applied. I had a team member. We applied for 5 different licenses here in Missouri. And for me to have one of the largest aquaponic facilities in the Midwest, and then have, one of the largest fruit orchards in the state, and be a consultant to Langston University, and didn't receive no license, you know what I mean, because of corruption. And so now we're going through the whole appeal process with the state and see where that lands, because 850 appeals. And so we're thinking maybe by the first of the year that they're going to give people licenses due to the corruption that happened in the state. So we'll just have to see where the ball falls beginning of the year. And so, yeah, I was trying to get into the industry. Like I said, I was trying to provide jobs and be able to be that representation for people of color to get in the industry. It didn't happen. And so we're still fighting in court for an appeal process. So hopefully we'll know some news by the first of the year. It's looking better than it is worse. So just going through that whole process right now.
Wow. I definitely commend you for staying the course with that, because I also know some friends that were trying to do the same thing, but in California. And just being a person of color, they make it a lot harder for you. So I can only imagine what that process is like.
Yeah, it was definitely crazy. You know, the stuff they was asking, the stuff you had to do, you know, was ridiculous. You know what I mean? It just didn't make no sense. You know, so I don't cry with spoiled milk. It is what it is. You know, you take your lickings and keep on ticking. You know, so I'm on to the next.
I know that's right. I love that positive attitude.
You gotta be positive. You know, I when people ask me like, "How are you doing? How was your day?" My day is always good. I woke up. I'm breathing, walking, talking. I have nothing to complain about. I got food in my refrigerator. I got running water. I got transportation. You know, if there's an issue, I'll be thankful to have a problem because, you know, it's a problem. You know, I can have a bad day, but people have bad weeks, bad months, bad years, just bad lives. You know what I mean? For me to complain, it just makes no sense, you know, to complain when you look at it, you're in a better position than a lot of other people in the world to make, you know, decisions on your life. So I have no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, I have the same exact mindset when it comes to complaining. Like I just wake up with gratitude every day. Like even the other day, I was just grateful I have legs that are functioning and work well. Like I was running the other day, and I'm like, I'm so grateful because people they take it for granted because, you know, they wake up with their legs every day. There are people that cannot wake up and run. So I'm like, yo, I'm so blessed just for that. I'm grateful just for that. And, you know, I keep that attitude all the time. How important is spirituality to you when it comes to your businesses, your mentorship, or just living your life?
It's important to tap into something, you know, when it comes to business or especially my mentoring program, because, you know, I got families of different ideologies, religions. And so I don't really talk too much about that might conflict with the parents' beliefs and systems. You know, I tend to lead towards more African spirituality than anything. And so with that, I don't push my ideology on nobody else. You know, Malcolm X once said that, you know, if it don't affect you, you know, economically, socially, or politically, leave it at home. You know what I mean? So, but what you do between you and your God, that's on you and your God. You know, everything else, let people be who they are and do what they do. And so what works for me might not work for you. And so, you know, to each his own, and I let people do what they do. And that's pretty much how I leave it.
That makes a lot of sense. If you could turn and talk back to your 18-year-old self, what would you tell him?
18, ooh, my goodness, 18-year-old self.
Yeah.
I don't take nothing back. You know, everything pretty much built character, made me who I am, trials and tribulations. I don't know if I would be receptive to the information at 18, you know, but if I could be receptive, it would be get on your business early. Get on your business. You know, that's what I would tell myself, you know, so I could retire early and be done with, you know, at age 40, I'll be done with everything if I was able to withhold it. But I wasn't, at 18, I wasn't ready to receive certain things. I wasn't able to comprehend a lot of different things. I just wasn't ready to receive it, you know, and so I don't know if if I went back, that I would be able to change, you know, the things that made me who I am today.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I know sometimes you talk about like how people could travel and you know, they could even write it off for their business, and you know, there are different ways to do it. And I just wanted to ask you, like, I don't know how much you care to share about that, but really, what was your favorite trip that you've taken so far?
Ghana probably been my favorite trip. You know, been to Ghana, Ethiopia, China, DR, you know, all over Mexico, Canada, all over the states. And so probably Ghana because I felt more home at Ghana. You know, I got to spend 3 weeks there. I mean, I was probably all over Ghana. You know, I mean, I just wasn't in the crowd, a major city, but I went out to the rural areas and I could see the people, talk to the people, the culture. It was just beautiful to see the smiles on the kids' faces. They was impressionable. You know, sit down and talk to chiefs. You know, and just it was just a wonderful feeling, man, just to see your people, to break bread with them, and you know, you go into the huts and they got a flat screen in there. You know what I mean? We're just like, you know, the things that, you know, that we think that so we can't live by, and you see them thriving. Our happiness isn't materialistic things. You know, our happiness comes from our family, our culture, things that, you know, the things that's important. And I seen that in them, you know, and I'm like, you know, trying to get away from, you know, all the hustle and bustle, you know, the cold capitalistic system, you know, and just be free. You know, my people don't have to deal with the stuff that's going on, that's been going on for the last 400 years. You know, so I just want to remove myself from the whole equation of that, you know, and so I tell everybody, get a passport, travel, you know, see the world. It's not as expensive as you think it is. You know, plan ahead. You can put your flights on layaway. You know, it's a lot of stuff you can do to do it on a budget. Get on skyscanner.com. You know, find the cheapest months to fly whatever it is you're trying to fly to. You know, it's a lot of different things you can do to travel for cheap. You know, find those deals where, like Southwest have a deal now, 2 people can travel for 1. You know what I mean? And so it's a lot of different things that people can do if they put the energy and time into those things. I mean, we spend a lot of money on BS all the time. Make sacrifices, put a budget aside. Say, you know what, we're not gonna watch cable for 6 months. You know, we're gonna put this money towards this. We're not gonna eat out, you know, for 6 months. We're gonna put our money towards this. We're not gonna buy certain things. You know, we're not gonna waste money. You know, we're gonna do this and plan for it. So everybody can do it. It just, you just have to plan and prioritize, you know, whatever it is you're trying to do.
I love that. And would you say Ghana is like the #1 place you would tell young Black men they should probably travel to?
Pretty probably yes, because it's probably more U.S. friendly. I ain't gonna say U.S. friendly, but there's a lot of English is the native language there. Even though it's like 100 different dialects in Ghana, if you fly into Accra, most people there speak English. Even though they speak like 2 or 3 other languages, they speak English. So it's easy to navigate and get around. And Accra is just like, you know, any other city in the U.S. Now, once you get outside of Accra, you'll see a lot more rural things around, but Accra is more identifiable to like a modern U.S. city. So it's not like all those huts you see on the TV, poor kids walking around. You know, it wasn't none of that stuff going on in Ghana because it's almost impossible to be hungry in Ghana because they have more goats walking around than people. They got chickens everywhere. They got fruit, you know, growing everywhere. Coconuts, you can just push the tree and the coconut will fall down. So it's a lot of food that's plentiful in Ghana where you should never go hungry there whatsoever.
I know that's true. I know that's true. And I think you have a webinar coming up. Is that accurate?
Yes, I got 2 webinars coming up. One, start a nonprofit, and the other one is grant writing and business funding, you know, for your business or nonprofit. And so I'm going on there with Oh my goodness. I'm going out with another grant writer. I don't know, Kim Richardson. So
Okay.
Kim Richardson, she's wrote over $100 million worth of grants. You know what I
Ooh.
mean? And so she's a heavy hitter in the game, you know, as far as grant writing and receiving funds. So she'll be teaching people or explaining some of the things you need to do in order to get funding like that.
Okay, when is that? When are they? So I could add it here.
October 7th and 8th is the days of the webinar. It's $40 for the webinar, each webinar that we have. So it's a lot of knowledge you can gain for $40. It's not bad.
Oh yeah, this is very exciting. A lot of people are interested in grant writing, and I'm one of them. So listen.
And if I can write a grant, anybody can write a grant.
So wait, what time on the 7th and 8th?
The start of nonprofit is at 7 o'clock, and then grant writing is at 2:30. And so I believe the grant writing webinar is on the 7th at 2:30, and the start of nonprofit is at 7 on the 8th.
So this is perfect timing.
Perfect timing to try to figure out what it needs to do to put yourself in place to receive those funds. A lot of time people just think it's the grant you have to write. That's part of it, but that's not all of it. It's a lot more to come along with, you know, being able to receive funds to be able to accept those grants. And so we'll be talking about that before we get into the, oh, I want to get this $1 million. Well, you got to be able to receive this $1 million first. How to receive it? You know, are you capable of taking it? Should you take it? You know, so it's a lot of things that people don't think about when they want to receive certain amounts of funds. So I'm also a grant reviewer. So I review grants for the USDA. I'm going over my 3rd year as a grant reviewer for them. So I maybe review 60 or 80 some grants through the USDA.
That is amazing. Like that's a lot of. I don't even know how you go through all of that. It has to be a lot.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's a lot, you know, but it's always good to find a different perspective and sit on the other side of the table than writing grants, to see what, you know, grant reviewers look at when you write them. So it gives you an upper hand. So when you're trying to write grants, you're seeing how people are going through that process and how they choosing certain grants.
Amazing. I definitely look forward to this class. This webinar is on October 7th and October 8th. I'm gonna post it down below. So
that'll work. Appreciate it.
I know it's gonna be a lot of information. You said she got over 100 million in grant. Wow.
100 million in grants. Like she do like federal grants. She writing grants for zoos and all kind of stuff, you know. I can probably write more grants, but I'm lazy. I don't like writing grants. I probably wrote over 30 grants in the last 3 years or so. I mean, I can write them every day if I want to, but I just don't like writing, you know, so, you know, that's not.
Oh man, that's amazing.
I write them because I have to write them. I don't write them because I want to write them, you know, so what I'm end up doing is getting a team together to show them how to write grants and let them do that work, because that's something I don't like doing.
No, that makes sense. Delegate it to somebody who would enjoy that. That makes complete sense.
Yeah, it's the best way to go about it, at least from my end point.
I agree. So delegate to people who are, you know, that's their strong point and that's what they like to do. I'm excited about that. I want to move into our rapid fire round. So, you know, this round, we're just going to ask a few questions, and I just want you to tell me the first thought that comes to your mind, whatever it is, and we're just going to do rapid fire in that way. You ready?
All right. Yep.
Okay. Should you do business with family or not?
No.
Okay. Is entrepreneurship for everyone?
No.
Okay. No, I didn't think you was going to say that. Okay. There is this thing that people say you can't travel once you have family. Is that true? Yes or no?
No.
Okay. Do you need your own farm to grow your own food?
No.
Okay. Is it better to help toxic family members out or just cut them off completely?
Depends.
Okay. I'm gonna let you explain that after. Okay. Okay. And is it ever too late to pursue your dreams?
Never.
Never. The best way to balance your personal life and your business life. Yep.
Understand that balance is key.
Amen. Amen. That was it, but I want to go back to that toxic family thing. You said it depends. What does it depend on?
They have to want to help themselves. You can't help nobody who don't want to be helped. You know, you can try, you can, like I say, you can lead a horse to the water, but you can't force them to drink. And so if they're putting effort into it, and yeah, if they strive and you can see them putting effort into it and they're not getting it, then there's nothing wrong with helping them because, you know, they just need a little extra help. But if they're not willing to help themselves and they can't see themselves, you know, doing whatever they need to do to succeed in whatever it is they're trying to succeed in, you're basically spinning your wheels. You know, and so, like I said, when they're ready to help themselves, then it's fine to do it. And sometimes you just love them so much where, you know, you're trying to get them to see it and they just not ready to receive it yet. You know, and so, like I said, it just depends. Sometimes they have to fall and bump their head a couple times before they wake up. And sometimes they never wake up. You know, sometimes it just, they fall, bump their head, and that's it. You know, and that's just life, and you can't really do nothing about it. You know, and so life is short. You have to enjoy it. You know, while you're here, you're here one day, you're gone the next. We just don't know when our time is up. So I try to enjoy life every day and live to my fullest and live with no regrets. So I understand and I'm thankful every day because I know at any time it can be taken away. So, you know, people just have to value their time, their energy and effort and live for themselves. You can't live for nobody else because it's you at the end of the day, you know, and so you got to make you happy. You know, you can't make everybody else happy. Everybody else have their own lives to live. And so you got to figure out what it is that's going to make you happy. You know, if it's helping somebody else, then that's what it is. But you got to, you know, keep your energy. You know, can't let nobody just drain your energy. You know what I mean? Energy, there's a lot of energy drainers out there who want to drain you. Just got to stay away from that.
I know that's right. That's really great advice. And I definitely appreciate you doing the podcast with Coaches for Freedom today. Was there any last minute thoughts or advice you want to leave for the young people listening? And also, if you could tell everyone how to find you on the gram, on Facebook, just so they can, you know, follow you and check out all of the resources you have and hopefully get on this webinar too. But yeah.
Yeah, Facebook, Dre Taylor on Facebook. Instagram, I think it's Dre Taylor 51, I believe, something like that. LinkedIn, Dre Taylor. I'm working on my Dre Taylor Consultant website now. It's actually under construction, so that'll be getting together, and that'll be basically teaching people how to do funding for their business, grant writing, things of that sort. And then I'll be doing some travel stuff pretty much later, probably next month, as far as a travel website to teach people how to travel and taking groups to Ghana back and forth and all those type of things. So I'm easy to find. Google Dre Taylor, Nile Valley Aquaponics, and you'll see a lot of pages come up with my information. So I'm easy to find out there. So.
And I'm also going to post it below. But I know some people like to hear it. Some people like to see it written. You know, everybody's different. So I try to cater to everybody. But I definitely appreciate your time today.
Appreciate you having me.
Yeah.
Make it a whole lot easier. So, you know.
This has been fun. So I know you're going to head to the gym. So I'm just going to end this and send you on your way with a really good day. And thank you guys for watching.
Appreciate it. Enjoy.